Well, I'm coming to just about the end of my rants, as it were, on the social issue of gun control, because in general, I don't see either side as being truly serious, especially when you look at the fact that people are willing to water it down. But it's not just the watering down, it's the hypocrisy. This is actually almost a dual topic video. I know people don't like those, but maybe you'll like it better in a condensed form because it's binded by one thing: Piers Morgan. Now, love him or hate him, I'm not here to argue his merits. I am here to say that I find it interesting that constitutional literalists want him silenced or deported by the government for having dared to say that gun control wouldn't be a bad idea. Now, I don't know specifically what he has said. All I do know is there's an article down in the underbar explaining a lot of what I'm going to say, that if you think that the government should deport Piers for speaking out against guns, exercising his freedom of expression, that freedom that you yourselves want so terribly, would want the commie socialist government to overstep its bounds and deport somebody for speaking their mind. Because you see, here's the funny thing is this can become a slippery slope. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that we do get this man actually deported. What now? Are you so much of a patriot? Are you so much of an American that you've only ever said things that everybody has ever agreed with? How long after we deport Piers are we going to then maybe possibly have this whole thing turned right around against you and have you finding yourself being deported for standing up and speaking up for your rights or your opinions or your attitudes? See, this is what I don't get about a lot of antis or about a lot of people who get angry at subject matters. Oftentimes, they are not willing to see that their very own witch hunt can whip right back around and hurt them. Because when it comes to things such as witch hunts, there is one rule. That is that no one, I repeat, no one is above suspicion. Let's take the famous, the ever popular Salem witch trials, for which witch hunt is tend to be coined about. Contrary to popular belief, the witch hunt was a lot less about religion and religious people trying to weed out bad elements in their community as the high school watered down version tends to go. It's actually a cautionary tale about the have-nots rising up against the haves. Why do I bring this up? Because there's speculation, but not a full confirmation as to what actually ended the witch trials. The newest speculation, the newest shred of documents that we tend to have that points to a solution, at least tends to infer that the mayor, I believe it was the mayor's wife, was about to be accused. And that's when the mayor stepped in and ended the trials and ended the proceedings. Meaning exactly what I said. You think that you have privilege because you're speaking to the people in the terms and on the subjects that they want to hear parroted back at you. But let's say enough of an opposition to your viewpoint gets enough signatures to have the White House then consider deporting you. And let's say we're in the business of deportation. We're not, but I digress. Let's say if we were in the business of social deportation. What possible thing could save you from that, from your own witch hunt? What possible thing would exempt you from being on that committee and having people who maybe don't like you stab you in the back and get you on a one-way boat to Piers Island or wherever we would send Piers to, you know? I put it to you that this is stupid. This is beyond stupid, and it's against all the things that you're holding dear when you're asking for this man to be deported. It's funny that we would ask for somebody like him to be deported, but somebody like Rush Limbaugh, who has, you know, such an audience as he does, despite all the despicable things he says day in and day out, if despite all the power that he commands, nobody's asking for him to be deported. I'm sure some of us would dream of such things, but you know what? He's saying, he's exercising his freedom of speech. The moment we start deporting people via our governments is the moment that we cease to have a freedom of speech. The moment that the mob, not the law, dictates what you can and cannot say, and you can lose everything, including your home, for simply speaking the truth. I know, because I'm sure I'd be on the first boat to go off to some island to probably be nuked, because I've talked about subjects that people would wish I would just shut up about. Speaking of topics people would wish people would shut up about, Piers Morgan has also called the Bible inherently flawed, and actually said that wouldn't it be better to amend it or to ratify it, to fix it. To which, of course, Pastor Rick Warren said, no, there's not a chance of that, because he felt that the Bible is the unquestionable word of God, but the opinions of man, those are the things that are constantly changing, and therefore those are the things that need fixing, not the Bible. I'm sorry. Have we both read Luke and the account of Jesus's birth, or at least the trying to make the account of Jesus's birth, the one where, you know, it kind of contradicts itself and kind of places Jesus in two different timelines? I could go on and on with inconsistencies as well as contradictions that the Bible itself holds. I find it vaguely bizarre that this person, who is supposed to be a man of the book, of the faith, who is supposed to know this book inside and out, is being talked to on this topic by somebody who actually has read the Bible and knows a lot of the situations that have gone into some of the Old Testament, as well as the stuff that was slightly corrected for the New Testament. But then again, it depends on your interpretation. And this document is flawed. I don't think that you can. I don't even feel that there are enough Christian scholars out there who cannot state that it is without flaw, that it is not a flawed manuscript. Fixing it, at least fixing it. Again, I'm not here to dismantle your churches. I'm not here to burn your books. But if you're going to stand up and say, oh, no, the Bible is factual, it's humans that are flawed, I'm sorry, prove it. Absolutely prove it. Because from everything I have read, from at least the 2 times that I've read the Bible cover to cover, which was a bit of a pain, but I soldiered through. I still have my Bible, in fact. I have it tucked away with my other books right now. I'm trying to reorganize my space here. But I have a King James version that I've read, but I've read a few of the other versions out there. How can you honestly stand up and say that it is a perfect account, that it is without flaw and unquestioned? This is where I have a problem, because you're not being intellectually honest in the slightest bit. And this is what turns me off. You know, you'd get a lot more fish like me, likely, if you just be intellectually honest. Barring all my other reservations with the Bible, with religions of all different types that I have, from both studying of them as well as talking to people who are very devout, as well as people not so devout or the spiritualist types of people out there. There's not enough intellectual integrity and intellectual honesty in that text. There is not any single way that you can argue that the Bible is inherently without any sort of flaw in it, and that it's man's problem, not the Bible itself. You can't say that. It's been translated over 600 times, and you're honestly going to sit there and tell me that throughout the annals of history, nobody has ever added anything in or taken anything out. And no, I'm not just talking about the fact that we've shifted from Old Testament to New Testament, which has created a rift in Christianity in and of itself, one of which that's playing itself out in my own family. I digress. This is ludicrous. Morgan has said nothing wrong here. And Morgan's also right about the Constitution, by the way, for those of you who read the article down below. But that's the thing. The Founding Fathers didn't want to put concrete language to the Constitution because they needed wiggle room. They had just come from a tyranny, one that said, you will do this on this day or on this occasion, or you will be jailed or worse. They didn't want that. They also knew that if the democracy is to survive, it has to have wiggle room. It cannot be black and white, or it works against its own inception. It works against its own goals. So when he says that the Constitution and the Bible are inherently flawed, he's right. But in the Constitution's case, it's on purpose. On the Bible, that's not supposed to be there. Unfortunately, though, it is. So, just saying, I don't see what's so big of a deal with Piers Morgan in these cases. I see that the people who are the biggest detractors of him have more to explain away or more to have to deal with than Piers himself. I know you may not like what he has to say, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to buy into it. And nothing that he says is going to change anything. I hate when a celebrity says, I'm against guns. People act as if Congress is going to be like, you know something? Brad Pitt's against guns. They're like, Brad Pitt? No way. Yeah. So that means I'm going to be against guns. I'm going to draft legislation and it's going to pass. And then magically guns are banned tomorrow because Brad Pitt has said that he doesn't like guns or is not a fan of guns. Grow up, please.